Hello everyone, this is Shilpa Pankod, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, Janaki Devi Memorial College. We are going to talk about one of the very important topics from human resource management, that is human resource planning and job analysis. Now let us talk about human resource planning or HRP. Let's try to understand its meaning firstly. What is HRP? If we just break the term, let's try to break the terms and understand it is nothing but planning about human resources. So the way we plan about anything, the way we plan budget, the way we plan our other requirements, similarly organizations need to plan their human resources. That means how many human resources do they require, what type of people do they require, what quality of people they require, what skills do they require. So all these things have to be planned properly by the organization and in advance. So this is nothing but HRP. So HRP is basically planning to ensure that we have right number of people at the right job at the right time so that the organization can efficiently and effectively achieve its all objectives. So if we see the definition as given by Distler, HRT is a process of deciding what positions will have to fill and how to fill them. So that means कि HRP is not only talking about one thing कि कितना quantity do we require, it is also going to guide you that how you are supposed to fill all the positions. So this is a basic meaning of HRP, that is to ensure that we have right number of people at the right job at the right time. So as to ensure कि organization के objectives are being achieved on time and efficiently. So basically HRP tries to answer these 5 questions. How many employees do we need? That is in terms of number. Do we require 5 more employees? Do we require 10 more employees? For example, in campus placements also, like lots of companies visit various colleges every year. So they have their defined number that we are coming to hire 5 people, 5 students, or we are coming to hire 20 students. So the very first question HRP answer is how many employees do we need? That is in terms of quantity. After the quantity, it also talks about what type of skills do we need. That is, what skills, qualities, attributes of the candidates that we are looking for. Basically, it talks about what quality of people we have to hire. Next, where do we need the employees? That is where the employees are needed. That means in terms of division. कि division कौन सा, department कौन सा, in which location, in which branch. So where do you need your employees, those employees? For example, it might be needed in production department, they might be needed in the marketing department. So it also answers that where do you exactly need the employees. After that, when do we need the employees? So it basically answers कि do we need them right now, immediately. तो आपने बहुत सारी already ads देखी होंगी जिनमें आता होगा कि with immediate effect we need hiring of these candidates. So when do we need the employees? Is it with the immediate effect or after 3 months or after 6 months? Last is how long do we need the employees? So at times we also look at the ads whereby it is clearly mentioned that we need employees on temporary basis, on ad hoc basis, or on permanent basis. So how long do we need the employees? That is for what duration we need the employees, short term, long term, or whatever. So this is a basic meaning of HRP, talking about quantity and quality. Also, these are the 5 questions which it tries to answer. Now coming to next point, that is what are the features, key characteristics of HRP. So one, it is forward looking. So basically when we are talking about planning, it has to be forward looking, it has to be related to the future. So HRP is forward looking. That means it needs to see what are the future prospects of the organization, and taking that into account, it considers what kind of and what type of people do we require. Second feature is it has to be in sync with organizational needs. That is, whatever the organizational needs are, so it has to be in sync with that. That means, for example, if the organization is, let's say, planning to expand its business, or at times it's planning to merge or acquire a new firm, or to get into a new joint venture. So keeping all those things into account, HRP has to be planned accordingly. Third very important thing here is that proactiveness. That means कि, for example, now if you see that 5 people or your 5 candidates or your 5 employees are retiring on today's, today they are retiring. So at that time you can't be reactive. At that time you cannot just decide, okay, 5 people have retired today, let's now go and start hiring process. So retirement is something which is already very much clear, and it is there in the mind of the, or in the account of the HR manager. So they have to be proactive and take that into account ki, okay, next month our 5 people are going to retire, so let's start the recruitment process in advance. So it has to be proactive. And lastly, the focus of HRP is, again I'm repeating, get qualified people at the right time. That means you are not just talking about that we need people at this time. We need right, efficient and qualified people. That means we are talking about the quality aspect at the right time. So after the features, let's talk about its importance, that how does HRP helps the organization, why there is so much focus on HRP. Even if you go through the syllabus of human resource management, so it comes in the very beginning. So what is the reason behind doing HRP so efficiently? Because firstly, it creates reservoir of talent. That means it creates a pool of resources, employees basically, for the organization. That means which can be later utilized by the organization very carefully. For example, the way we have a stock of our goods or work in process. So we know ki product A is, we have like 50 units of product A, 50 units of product B already in our stock. Similarly, of talent also, we create a stock of the talent in the organization. For example, out of all our employees, how many are already versed with the Excel tool, how many are already aware about using PowerPoint or any other talent. So if you create this kind of stock, it helps later to the organization, or it helps later to the HR manager in case of any crisis or in case of any need, that they can just take that person, or they have already a list of those employees who can be moved to the another job very easily. So it creates reservoir of talent. Next is preparing people for future. That means once you know the stock, once you know your capabilities or the attributes, you know the skills or qualities of your current staff, you know where they are lacking. And then you can simultaneously start their training programs and prepare them for their future. Next is expansion or contraction. For example, if the organization is trying to expand its business in, let's say, in another year, so they know they would be needing more people. Or if they are trying to contract their business, they know that they might not be needing people. In fact, they need to just de-employ or remove certain their employees from the organization. So in both the cases, HR manager has to plan very correctly how many people are required more, or the exact number we require. Then it also helps in cost saving. How HRP leads to cost saving in the organization? For example, if we have excessive number of employees in the organization, so we are paying extra salaries to them. So that's why, if you know exactly कि मुझे अगर 10 employees चाहिए, and if I already have 15 employees, so I'm paying more to 5 those employees. So it leads to, this way it leads to cost saving. And not only in this term, in fact, if I need 10, I have 8, so I know that I'm losing on my production, I'm losing on my profits. So in this way, cost saving, profit increase, HRP is something which is important for. Last is succession planning. Succession planning is कि once an important position gets empty, then who is going to be the next to refill that? So that is also something which is covered under HRP. So these are the importance of HRP. Now let's moving on to process of HRP, whereby the process is very simple, that we have to find out the demand, we have to find out the supply and compare these two and formulate the plans accordingly. When we talk about demand forecasting, it is nothing but that we need to know or find out that how many people are required. And when we are saying that how many people are required in the organization, so there are going to be certain factors affecting that demand. Now, what are those factors affecting the demand? One is your external factor. External factors might be technological, might be social, might be economic, might be cultural, so it might be related to your economic factors. So external factors impact the demand of the organization. For example, currently we know there is a such boom in AI industry. So we know that people related to AI are much in demand. क्योंकि इतना boom चल रहा है उस sector में, तो that is an external factor affecting the demand within the organization of the people who are well versed with AI. So this is how an external factor affect the demand of the human resources. Moving on to organizational factors, that is which are linked to the organization. For example, the expansion or contraction program of a particular organization affect the demand. If they are planning to expand, there would be increase in demand. If they're planning to contract, there would be decrease in demand. Next is workforce factors, now which are linked to the workforce of a particular organization. That means certain characteristics of the organization. For example, the absenteeism, the labor turnover. After that, we can say, how many people are going to retire in that particular year. So those characteristics are of a particular workforce of the organization. So external, organizational, as well as workforce factors affect the demand of human resources. Now moving on to next, that is how do we actually calculate the demand? There are different techniques. The very first is judgmental techniques. It's quite clear from its name. Judgmental technique means something which is based on the judgment. Now on whose judgment? Within this there are two techniques, top down approach and bottom up approach. Let's talk about bottom approach first. Bottom up is again clear from the name that we are beginning with the bottom, judgment of the bottom people or employees or your staff at the bottom level, and then taking their judgment, moving towards the up, that is the top management, and taking the final opinion from them also. So bottom up, why do we go for bottom up approach? Is that at the basic level, at the base level, the people who are actually working, they know better than the top management that how many people are required, what skills are required, what type of efforts are required. So because they are the ones who are actually carrying out the work, so they can explain it in a better way. So that's why we begin from the basic staff who are actually carrying out, take their judgment, take an idea from them, and then with the discussion with the top management, then we finalize the number and everything. Another judgmental approach is top-down approach. That means we begin with the top management. Now, reason why we begin with the top management is that they are aware of what plans, future plans of the organization are. Linked to the merger, linked to the expansion or acquisition. So they can better plan things. And that's why taking their opinion first, and then later on we can move to the base staff and take their opinion as well. So that is one of the technique which is totally based on the judgment only. We are not going to follow very hard and fast calculations hereby. After this comes mathematical and computer based models. So hereby we basically use all our trend ratio and econometric methods, statistical methods. Those methods are used hereby, and we just fill the data in computer and find the number using any particular model. Last is workforce and workload based analysis. So hereby it is basically linked with finding out exact number of people required depending upon what number of output do we require, or what work is needed to be done by that much workforce. For example, let's say we have to produce 10,000 output in a year, and standard hour to produce one output in, let's say, 3 hours. Okay? So we need 10,000 into 3 hours. We need to, in a particular year, 30,000 man hours. And let's say one person can give 100 hours in a year. Let's assume 100 hours one employee can give. So it leads to you, then you can just divide 30,000 with 100 and with this, and you will get 300 employees as your demand for human resources. So this is workload and workforce analysis is totally based on what number of output do we require, considering that we reach to the number of people we require. That is how much work can be carried out by one particular person. And in this case, we also consider the labor turnover and absenteeism as well as the idle time, so that we need to reduce it. After demand forecasting, next is supply forecasting. That is, how do we find out the supply? There can be two sources of supply, internal as well as another is external. Internal labor force is basically your, via transfers, via promotion. That is the one, those employees which are already employed in the organization, they can be either moved vertically via promotion or horizontally via transfer. So that is an internal labor supply. But that is something which is going to be limited, because we cannot just keep on promoting and transferring people. We will also need some fresh talent from outside. So that is external labor supply. So that there are various sources when we want to hire externally. It can be campus placement, it can be, via the website of the particular organization. We also have certain placement officers also, or the agencies also who are hiring now. So after we are done with the demand forecasting and supply forecasting, next we move on to formulating the HR plans. That is, once we are clear कि हमारा demand इतना है, supply इतना है, we will compare these two terms, demand and supply. If obviously demand is more, supply is lesser, we need to hire more people, so we will go for recruitment plans and we will start planning कि हमें hiring कैसे करनी है. But if you know your supply is more and your demand is lesser, then we can either go for a golden handshake, okay, in which case it is nothing but it's like VRS, or we can just remove certain people. And training plans are for those cases whereby we've identified certain, either we identify certain deficiencies or we know that there are certain potential which can be brushed up through the training program. So we can also go for training plans of our existing employees and can move them to the even higher position. Redeployment plan is nothing but the employees who have been working with us earlier but could not continue. Now they can be hired again. They can be moved to the our organization again. So various plans can be formulated depending upon what is the demand and supply situation. But there are certain limitations of the whole process which we have talked about, that is of HRP. Accuracy is one of the limitation. When we talk about accuracy, is that we are in the HRP, we are talking about the number. And it is not so easy to either calculate the demand or to calculate the supply, because everything is so unpredictable. For example, in the COVID situation, we never knew कि इतना drop जाएगा business का या output का या आपके demand का. So similarly, the other technological factors, economic factors are there, and due to which you cannot be very accurate with regard to your demand or supply factors. Then another limitation might be the inadequate support from the top management can be another limitation, because if the top management is not supporting or is not guiding you regarding how much talent is needed or what are our future plans, then there is no accurate HR plans can be formulated in that case. Another thing is resistance from employees, because at the employees level, HR plans are considered like we are going to be overburdened with the work. Once the analysis of our work is being done, then we might be overburdened with the work, or we might be removed from our job. So these are certain perceptions in the mind of the employee. So they might resist HRP. And another is lack of coordination. So HRP requires coordination among different departments, coordination among different levels also. It is top level and managers and your medium level managers. They all need to be coordinated, well coordinated, as well as like production department needs to inform HR department how many people are they looking for. Similarly, the marketing department. So if there is a lack of coordination, that becomes one of the hurdles in the HRP. So that was all about HRP. Now let us move on to the another part, which is job analysis. So we have talked about HRP's one of the characteristics or one of the major area, that was the quantity, where we looked at the demand, where we looked at the supply and formulated the plan. So that is going to tell you the number of people required. Another part of the HRP is which tells you the quality of people required. So quantity and quality both are being taken care by HRP. So when we talk about the quality aspect, Then here comes the concept of job analysis. Job analysis is nothing but, let's break the term, analysis of a job. Analysis of a job means systematic and detailed examination of a job. What is the job, how it is to be done, who can do it, what characteristics are required to do that job. So this is job analysis, that is systematic and detailed examination of job. By doing job analysis, we lead to two byproducts. One is job description, another is job specification. When we talk about job description नाम से clear है that it is description of a particular job. That is nothing but describing what the job is. So what duties have to be performed, what tasks have to be done, what all is needed to be done. That is job description. तो यहाँ पर job description के अंदर ये points cover up होते हैं. Let us see job title. What is the job title? For example, it can be assistant professor, it can be a professor. So that is a job title. So whenever you see any advertisement of any job, so you are going to look at the job description. This must be there in every ad or advertisement of a job. So a title, what is that job is known as, a title is there. Then a brief job summary describing in 1 or 2 lines what all is to be done. Then what are all the duties to be performed. तो यहाँ पर detailed duties segregate करके बताया जाता है. Then in case any machine, material, tools are needed to be used, that is also mentioned in JD. And how that particular job is related to the other job. Ki, are you going to be a supervisor of someone or are you going to be subordinate of someone? So relation with other jobs, plus what are going to be the working conditions. So this is your job description, and for job description, basically we require certain techniques to collect the data. How do we create the job description? Basically we need certain data to do the JD. These are some of the techniques. So very first is personal interviewing. Personal interviewing is that the one who is actually carrying out the job, you can go and ask them कि okay, what is to be done, आप अपने काम में क्या क्या करते हैं, कौन सी skills required होती हैं. So you can just take a personal interview and can note down the task to be done or the task which is actually carried out by that person. But a limitation here is that a person may like to exaggerate the thing. So that can one of the limitation, but the biggest advantage is that person is actually carrying out the job, so he knows better and in detail about his job. So every technique is going to have its advantage and limitation. Next can be observational method, in which you can just observe that what a person is or an employee is actually carrying out a job in that particular, in a particular day. How is he behaving, how is dealing, what work is being assigned to him. So through an observation you can try to just note down things and write the JD. But again it has a disadvantage here that there are certain jobs, like for example of a pharmacist, you cannot just by observing can note down or can trace how much effort is required mentally to calculate or to do the analysis about which particular medicine is where or which medicine is suitable in this case, etc. So observational method again has one of these limitations. And last is diary method, in which employees are being asked if whatever you do in a particular day, you note it down in a particular diary. So what happens is that once you write it down on a daily basis, then by the end of the time we will have the whole description of the job. But again, another disadvantage here is that nobody is going to write down everything on a daily basis. So that at times you may miss out something important, at times you may not write the diary on a particular day. So that becomes a disadvantage here. So these are some of the techniques of data collection. After this, moving on to what are the benefits of job analysis. That means why we need to do the job analysis. Before doing that, let's talk about job specification. Job description I have explained, describing the particular job, what needs to be done in a job, what skills are needed, etc. Then another thing is job specification. Job specification specifies the qualities, skills, attributes needed in the person to carry out that particular job. सो जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन जॉब के बारे में बात कर रहा है, जॉब स्पेसिफिकेशन जॉब होल्डर के बारे में बात कर रहा है. It specifies ki what qualities, experience, what educational qualifications are needed. So whenever you look at any advertisement of a particular job, description will be also there, and specification in terms of experience, qualification will be there. So this is about JD and job specification. Now this is the last part of our lecture, whereby we are going to talk about why we need to do the job analysis. We have discussed about why do we need to do HRP. Now why do we need to do this job analysis, or why do we need to understand the job? Here are certain reasons. The very first thing, it is beneficial for HRP. Quantity also, you cannot calculate the quantity until unless you know the quality of people required, until unless you know what kind of jobs are there, what all is needed to be done. So it helps in HRP. Another thing, it helps in recruitment. So you cannot begin with your recruitment, you cannot frame your advertisements, you cannot start with the hiring process, you cannot invite people to come and apply for the job if you do not know what needs to be done and how many people are required. Moving on to next, which is selection. Selection is nothing but, it is about, filtering the unsuitable candidates and choosing the right one or the most suitable candidate. So you cannot do the selection also until unless you are very clear about who should be there, what qualities of or skills or attributes should be there in that particular employee. After the selection, placement and induction. Placement is putting the right person at the right job. Induction is their orientation about the job environment and everything. So you cannot place the right person if you don't know कि क्या attributes हैं उस job के और उस person के क्या attributes हैं, they should match. After that, for training and counseling reasons also, you can train people better if you know कि they are already versed with these kind of skills and these are required. So let's train them in those areas. And for counseling purpose also, HRP is required. For ensuring the safety of employees, because JD से आपको working condition पता चलता है, तो जिससे कि आप safety of employees ensure कर सकते हैं. And performance appraisal and job evaluation. Performance appraisal is nothing but appraisal or the evaluation of the job performed by a particular employee. कि employee ने कैसा काम करा, that is being evaluated. Now how you are going to evaluate कि उसने काम कैसा करा, until unless you know कि what are the job standards. Job standards are given by job analysis. Last is job evaluation, which is you are trying to evaluate the worth of a particular job to set its right wages. You cannot set the right wages until unless you know what qualities are going to be required in the particular job holder plus what he needs to do. So these are the reasons that why do we need job analysis, and these are the references which I have used for preparing the lecture, and thank you so much for this. Thank you.